All right, welcome. It's Friday, July 19th. It's almost Christmas again. So it feels like time is moving extremely quickly. Um, Today I thought we'd do a something that we've practiced that we've done here several times before, a resilience practice, keeping in the theme of the inner critic for this week. Nice to maybe explore how to be with the inner critic in a more resilient manner today. So to get us going, here's Nelson Mandela. Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. And that, of course, encapsulates this idea of what is resilience exactly. And here's a definition: it's the ability to adapt and recover in the face of adversity, threats, or significant sources of stress. And I would surmise that there are a few more stressful, at least mental or psychological situations for us than our inner critic running rampant with us. That inner dialogue that is just relentlessly judgmental, or constantly saying, "Well, you should have, or you could have, or you always, you never," that kind of thing. And so the question is, how do we change that? And like all of these practices here, it's just a question of, I think, very deliberately leaning into that. So being mindful about the inner critic and the inner dialogue that's happening, and then being somewhat resolute about saying, okay, I'm going to take a few minutes on a regular basis and just practice engaging with that voice in my head in a different manner. And so, um, actually, let me skip over this slide here. So the three techniques that we've practiced here before are: the first one is bounce. So the idea of how quickly can I, when something happens, when I notice that voice in my head saying something that activates a sense of anxiety or stress, how quickly can I try to get back to baseline, where I initially was before that thought kicked in. The second skill here is grit. So just learning how to be a little more thick-skinned about things. So oftentimes I find myself sitting there asking the question, how original is this belief or this thought that is bouncing through my brain in this moment? I say 90+% of the time, I realize this is just a recycled, rehashed belief or thought that I've had for years and years, and yet here it just popped up. And so grit in that case would be my ability to just not take the bait, not go down the rabbit hole and engage with it, but rather just be a little more boundaried. So physiologically, but also emotionally, obviously. And then the last skill is the reframe. So once we notice the thoughts, the "you always," "you never," those types of statements, when we notice that, to have the courage and cultivate the skill to be able to engage with but from the vantage point of curiosity and looking for the reframe. And is it really true that that's what's happening? Is it possible that there's something else going on that's activating these thoughts, or maybe there's a different way of holding this challenging internal experience? So let's go ahead and explore that, and just try to apply these three different skills to that situation, and yeah, see where that goes. So start by closing your eyes, and as always, just connecting with presence. So right here, right now, there's a simplicity to this moment. We're just sitting, body's breathing. Everything that's happened so far today is literally just a memory. It's happened, it's done. And everything that we're anticipating is going to happen hasn't yet happened. So we're left with just this beautiful simplicity of right here, right now, body, mind, and the intention to steer the body and the mind in a direction that will hopefully help us make contact with our inner resilience. Is giving the mind and body chance to slow down, sync back up. So often our body is in one place and the mind is completely elsewhere. So now we're just taking a few minutes to see if we can bring the two to the same time and space, meaning right here, right now. And then we're going to use the mind's ability to direct attention. So we're going to focus our attention on a memory or a situation in which the inner critic was active. So some situation can be recent, it could be earlier today, it could be a long time ago, but some memory where you made a mistake, things didn't go as planned. Now you're noticing that inner dialogue. And just for a moment, take notice of the tone, noticing some of the words that are being used. Again, this inner critic has a life of his or her own, just doing its thing. It's like so many choiceless experiences that we have. There it is. And my guess is the inner dialogue and the tone and the words that are being used are probably quite familiar to you. I mean, they've probably been there for a good chunk of your life, experienced this before. Now ask yourself the question in that moment, what would it take or what would it be like to bring a little bit more levity and bounce to the situation? What would it mean to bounce back maybe to a place before the inner critic started running rampant? What are the beliefs that you might need to let go of in order to bounce back? What are the beliefs that you might want to lean into in order to be able to bounce back? And if this is difficult for you right now, ironically, this is a great opportunity to also just bounce back, right? Instead of focusing on, I can never do this, or just it doesn't work out, I'm not getting it. Simply bounce back to, Okay, just gonna try again. Now sticking with the same situation. So again, noticing that inner dialogue, thing that didn't go the way you wanted it to, and what it all means. And see if you can bring a little more grit into the equation. Imagining yourself maybe having a little bit of a protective skin around you. So those initial thoughts and the ideas about what's wrong just don't penetrate. Shielding some armor. And it's not because we're trying to push those thoughts away. We're not trying to suppress anything. We're simply taking a little bit more of a boundaried stance to saying, yeah, not right now. I'm not gonna, I don't need to go down that well-worn path of self-criticism right now. I'm gonna be a little grittier. And next comes the reframe. Usually if you look at what the inner critic is railing about, there's some kind of set of beliefs underneath it. The situation means something. It's basically stating that there's a problem and the problem is me. So this inner critic is letting me know loud and clear that I'm the problem. What if we brought some creativity to this situation and just explored some reframes? Maybe it's not me. That's the problem here. Maybe it's just something else that can explain why this happened. Maybe the reason things went the way they went has nothing to do with me. Just open up to that possibility. And just noticing what it's like to re-engage with this memory, having screwed up or made a mistake, or just noticing a little more bounce, a little more grit, and the ability to get curious and reframe or explore different explanations. Be some pretty useful strategies for building more resilience. And go ahead and take a deep breath in. Long, slow exhale. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the belly, and then hold the exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another deep inhale through the nose. Long exhale, emptying the lungs and using your diaphragm to really expel all the air, and then hold the exhale again for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, open your eyes. That's all the time we got for today. I hope that launches you into the weekend and gives you something to work with if you find yourself in a personal pickle at some point. So anyway, take care, everyone. I'll stick around for a few more minutes if anyone wants to chat. See you soon.